right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching Morning Rush here on Metro Television, the Thursday morning. And I mentioned before the break that we're going to be talking about seafood. I love food, but I've not exactly tried what people say is seafood. Meanwhile, I chop fish and all the other things, right? So this is why we're having a conversation with the CEO of OceanMall, Caroline Pomeyie, who will shed more light on what seafood is, all the misconceptions, some of the nice things that we should be trying out, you know, and all of those things. And so she's here with us. The conversation started offset, but, you know, we're back on. Caroline, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
And a happy new month to you.
Same to you.
Great. Seafood. When did your interest in seafood start, though?
I think about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yes, so I was in a program that taught the whole country.
Okay.
We were just doing research in the agricultural sector.
Okay.
But then nobody was really talking about the fishery side. You know? So I think after we settled back to Accra, and then I was thinking, why is it that when we talk about agriculture, we don't really consider the fisheries?
Okay.
So my team and I decided to look into that space. Also, and I realized that that's a very vibrant sector,
okay.
You know, and it has, you know, good perspectives for business. So decided to start exploring the space, and then it landed me running a business in that space.
Do Ghanaians like seafood? The one, I mean, we're talking about fish, herrings and redfish. We all treat them, but we've never really considered them as seafood. Yeah. You know, we know they are fishes. The ones, the other seafood, when you watch movies and all those things, they make some huge stuff like that. But do Ghanaians really come through and say that I want this, I want that?
Yeah. So I think most people take seafood, but then when we say seafood, they don't consider themselves as, you know, seafood lovers.
Okay.
But if you tell them, they'll say, if you ask them, they'll say, I eat fish a lot, or I like fish. So seafood is any sea life or any aquatic animal that is consumed by humans. Okay. So once it's in the sea and you eat it, it's seafood. So if you take herrings, you are taking seafood. If you take pala, you are taking seafood. You know, but usually when we say seafood, then only the crustaceans come to mind. Okay. So there are two types of seafood.
Okay. So let's get into that. Yeah, the two types of seafood.
Yeah. So we have the fish and then we have the shellfish. So the fish is what I mentioned, that if you take herrings, you know, redfish, and all the others, cassava fish, grouper fish, all those are seafood. Then we have the crustaceans. Then you could talk about the lobster. So I heard you earlier when you said seafood, you mentioned lobster and crab. Yeah. So lobster is a crustacean, and then crab is what we call mollusk. But we're not going into the details of that. That is going to be a whole We'll just call all of them, shellfish. Yes. Okay. So usually people just think of the shellfish and then they say they don't eat seafood. But then, I mean, we have fish and all the others. So the shellfish, you have the lobster, prawns, shrimps, the crabs, etc. Okay.
And these things come from the sea. So, you know, our fishermen who go to sea, do we have enough of that in the sea in Ghana?
Yeah, we have over 2 million small-scale fisher folks in Ghana. And if you look at our, you know, our coastline, we have the Keta, Adam, we have, you know, Accra, all over. So we actually have a great source of seafood, and seafood should be easily accessible to us Ghanaians. Okay. And I think now we have a lot coming up. It's usually because importation have exceeded our local production. And so we import a lot of our frozen foods. And that is why it would look like when you go to a regular cold store, you wouldn't easily find your local seafood there. Okay. You probably have to go all the way to, you know, Tema, Harbour, or when you go to Elmina, Takrady, which most people wouldn't, you know, take that extra effort just to search for seafood. To search for. But that's why OceanMall is here, though. Okay. We bring it to you.
All right. So you see on the screen. So see what. Snails. Yeah. Okay. Got snails and some others there. Okay. Yeah. So these are the mollusks that you mentioned earlier, right? But one of the things also, a lot of us when we go out to restaurants, right, and we take the menu, we'll see our usual fried rice, jollof rice, all of those things on the side, and fries, and then we see seafood on the side, and when you check the prices. Like they are like off the roof, and so nobody. I mean, the average Ghanaian will be like, no way I'm going to pay for shrimps and lobsters and all of those things with that amount. Yeah, why is it so?
So it's actually not supposed to be so, but then we know that it is becoming more like a luxury meal.
Okay.
But sincerely, when you go to the coastal areas, yes, when you go to the coastal areas, I mean, it's like what they eat on a regular.
Okay.
On a regular, and I think it's also because the supply chain has a lot of inefficiency. So by the time it gets to the urban centers, then the prices have been hiked, massively from what it was, from the shores.
Yeah.
And so it really doesn't have to be. You can get your own seafood at home. For 50 cedis, you can get nice calamari strips to fry. And actually, seafoods don't need a lot of work. So I don't even know why they cost so much in restaurants, but they are the fastest to cook. You take 3 minutes to fry shrimps. Maximum 5 minutes is overcooked, Same with the lobsters and the rest, and they are very easy to cook. So affordable seafood, if you want, you could easily get from OceanMall anytime. Anytime. From 50 cedis, you could. But I think it's also because a lot of people don't know how to make these at home.
Okay.
So we rely on the restaurants mainly.
Yeah. I think that also plays a part, that we don't necessarily know how to do these things at home. So we'll go to the restaurants and then they hit our heads with all of those, amounts there for, the seafood and all that. But you mentioned more money. You mentioned more money earlier.
No, but that was off air now.
No, but I'm interested in that one.
Okay.
So Momone is part of what, the fish group that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but now, so the challenge is, the Momone and the rest came up as a result of, post-catch losses. So because we don't want the thing to go to waste, we salt it a lot. So most of the time, when they're about to sell the product and they realize these ones are going bad, then they just convert it to momone. Oh. So momone in itself, right now we have different, varieties. We have momone of different kinds of fish. We even have calamari momone. When you go to Tema, you see a lot of those.
There are lots of that.
Yeah, so as long as the seafood is looks like it's about to get spoiled, then they salt it a lot and then they convert it into momone. That's it.
Interesting. I should be going out to, the sea one of these days and take them out. But I'm sure one of the challenges when it comes to seafood is there have been several reports about, climate change and how it's going to affect, these things that we find in the sea. In years to come, what do you envisage as someone in the space that could be a big challenge to, seafood? Yeah,
so the sea actually, or the ocean, the water bodies actually absorb about 80% of the carbon dioxide that we produce. Okay. And we know that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, and even though the sea is absorbing this and reducing the impact of climate change on the earth or on the land, it's having an adverse effect on the marine ecosystem, right? So we have what we call migration. So let me give a typical example. Sometimes you find that if, let's say in the Takoradi area, they're catching a lot of grouper fish. Once the sea gets warm, they migrate to another location that they find conducive. So if the fisher folks or that fishing community solely depend on trading grouper fish, then they are affected by that migration. And so that's just an example though. So we have these concerns, and then we have also the ocean acidification. We know that once we have a lot of these CO2 being absorbed, by the ocean, then again it's affecting our coral reefs and the rest. And the coral reefs are a major source of, they produce this ingredients that's used in producing cancer medications, and currently they are being depleted. Due to climate change. So the climate change thing in itself, it has its impact in many other areas, but mainly for the fishing communities is, their livelihood, because once the fishes migrate, then it means that the people's income will be affected. Yeah, and then sometimes in terms of quantity, you go fish and then you don't get the quantity you are expecting to catch.
And then it becomes more expensive.
It becomes more expensive, but that's not to say seafood is supposed to. It's averagely slightly more expensive than maybe our meats, etc. But then when you weigh the benefits, you'd realize, okay, it's not that expensive. And it's not supposed to be, actually. We usually think of 100 cedis and the rest when we are considering eating seafood. But you can get seafood for as low as 50.
For a very low price. What are the benefits, really? Because if you're eating it, it's not just about the taste that, oil, but what are you getting from it?
So I'm not a nutritionist.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I mean...
Yeah, so my little knowledge in that, I know that they are a great source of calcium and iron. And so even for pregnant women, sometimes if you are giving calcium supplements, but then they'll tell you can boil your crab and then blend it and then, mix with your food to give you that extra. Okay, I see that. Yeah.
Blend the crab?
Yeah, so you boil it and then you blend it. Then you can use it for your soup or stews. It just adds that, extra calcium into your meal. Then we also know of the omega-3 fatty acid. That's also good for the heart and then the brain functions and all that. So yeah, they're very good.
All right, so we've been talking to Caroline Pomeyie and we're talking about seafood, how expensive it is. Some places, I remember I went to a place, they give me the very raw, we'll skip seafood because there's no way we're going to be looking at that bit. But, getting into the value chain of this whole thing, has there been enough support from the people in authority, right? So we're talking about the fisheries ministry and all the other agencies that help with some of these things in your research and, working around that.
Yeah, the Ministry of Fisheries and then the Fisheries Commission have been doing a lot of work on ground. And quite recently, we had training session in partnership with the Fisheries Commission in the Keta community. We were training the women fish processors on, quality control, good handling practices, etc. And they've been actually on ground, helping also with assessing, the fuel they need. The pre-mixed fuel for their fishing expedition. They have the digital identities they are trying to do for the local fishermen. So that, you have an identity and you know that you belong to this fisherman association. And among others, I think they've been doing quite a good job over the years. The parts where we need more of we could do more is the private sector partnership or involvement. I know there are lots of co-stores and the seafood supply companies coming up, and the other aspects of the chain that we could look at. We have a lot of agtech or agri-tech companies developing technological solutions to solve certain challenges in the agricultural sector, or when it comes to the crop side. But then when it comes to the fishery side, there aren't so many of them. So we have record management applications that could be built. So if you're a tech person, a software engineer, there are so many loopholes in the fishery sector that you could just plug in your tech solution and then support the local fisher folks. We need so we have precision farming. We need that for fisheries as well. Before the fisherman goes on sea, can he detect where the fish is? Can he see where his products are? Do we have any form of, alert system that could alert that, there's flooding going to be in this area? Last year we had the whole Keta through to Denu side flooded. Do we have any flood monitoring system that could alert these people and say, this place will be flooded, so you guys can relocate for that period? There's actually so much more. We have the cold chain management aspect of it, which is the demand side. So is there a way we could alert the people to know the conditioning of their products at each point in time in terms of temperature, so we don't end up having post-catch losses? Then we could go on and on.
Great. Fantastic. As we wrap up finally, is doing so affecting you? Oh, you guys run these things, so
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, as we wrap up on this, any final thing you want to add quickly in 30 seconds about what people should know about seafood and all that? Anything we didn't touch on?
Yeah, seafood is affordable.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to break your bank to get seafood.
Okay.
So just contact OceanMall and then you get your affordable seafood.
Okay. All right. On that note, we're wrapping up on the conversation and we'll talk offset. I'll go get some seafood and see what I can do with that. Thank you very much, Caroline Pomeyie, for passing through. So she is CEO of OceanMall. We're talking about everything they need to know about seafood. And I'm sure now your mind has been changed on a number of things that you thought about seafood.